This is Ion Hong Kong with Key.
And this is Harminder, and we'll be discussing the top news for the week involving Hong Kong and China.
And welcome back to the second half of Eye on Hong Kong. In studio with us is Jeremy Tam of the Civic Party. Jeremy,
hello everyone.
Welcome. You are a commercial pilot.
Yes,
correct?
I am. Yep.
Yeah. So we brought you on today because we want to talk about a subject that's been ongoing since it's been announced.
Yep.
And that's the third runway.
Yep.
That wants to be built in Chaklap-Kok. Now, the controversy there is, one, it's $141 billion.
Yep.
Two, it's not going through LegCo for funding. It's going to be self-funded. Three, they're saying that the first two runways have not been used to full capacity, so why are we building a third one? And four, airspace issues. So we'll go through those one at a time.
Okay, sure.
Number one, the third runway, necessary or not? Why or why not?
Well, put it this way: in Hong Kong, I would not say it's a third runway is necessary. I would say, do we need to increase our capacity? Okay, that's point number one. Well, currently, that's from what I was observe every day when I go to work. In Hong Kong, it's pretty much, I would say, it's pretty full. Okay. When I say pretty full, it's not only talking about airspace itself. I'm talking about also the parking slot. Okay, and it's very often that we need to queue up, before we take off. And also when we come back to Hong Kong, it's very often that we need to do some holdings before we actually do the final approach into Hong Kong.
Right.
That's again.
So you guys are circling around until you're told that it's clear to land.
Yep.
Okay.
Out of Hong Kong, you have some certain spots. They can put you on hold.
Okay.
And it's not unusual. You have at least 3 aircraft is circling at the same time.
Sure.
The matter is, you actually burning more fuels.
Right.
Okay. You're just wasting your fuel.
Right.
And also, of course, of the time.
Right.
Of course. And it's not efficient. Okay. Everybody knows it. Now it's the matter of how we increase the capacity. Okay. That leads to the second point. At the moment, the Hong Kong airspace is so restricted. Okay, you probably read all the news. In fact, I've been talking about this since 2010 or 2011. But during that time, all the focus is at the environmental issue, rather than airspace.
Right.
Also, I hold a few press conference and mention we
Yes.
need to swallow the airspace.
Right.
But at that time, the focus wasn't there.
Right.
Fortunately, now we more people talks about it and more people understand why.
And just a little background on this airspace issue of Hong Kong is that we cannot go into mainland Chinese airspace without their permission. They cannot come into ours without our permission, correct?
It's just like everywhere else.
Correct. But the problem is that because of our smaller size, and the military also has some restrictions on their side of
it's not really military.
okay, because this is what I'm just coming off from reports that I'm reading in the news. Yeah.
Well, of course, it always have some, air.
So what's
force
causing
issue.
the restriction? That's my main point. What is causing it?
First of all, it's because all this airport is so nearby.
Right.
Okay, you have Hong Kong
In
and
the Pearl River Delta area.
Yeah. You got Hong Kong, you got Shenzhen, and then you got Guangzhou, and then Zhuhai, and also Macau.
Right.
Okay. In a relatively small space.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody is fighting for their airspace. Okay. Now the problem is because Hong Kong, the most restricted one, I have to say, is Shenzhen. Okay, because it just so close to Chaklap-Kok.
Yeah.
So because as you just mentioned, we need permission before we enter somebody else's airspace.
Correct.
Right.
And because we're so close, if we allowed Hong Kong all the aircraft departing Hong Kong, if they can turn north immediately,
Right.
okay,
Right.
that means they will be flying into the China airspace in a very low altitude.
Right.
The problem of that is you will actually intrude. It's like an intruder,
Yeah.
for the Shenzhen approach or departure, because again, because after you take off, you're at quite a low altitude, lower height, and also if you coming from Hong Kong, if you also enter into other airspace in a low altitude,
Right.
that where the problem will cause.
And so what they have to do is circle up,
Exactly.
up until they get the right altitude, and then they can go.
That's what every people say is like a wall.
Right.
Air wall. You need to go across the boundary at a certain height, which is 15,700 feet.
Right.
Because of that, so all the aircraft after they depart, they have to fly to the south.
Right.
Okay, fly to the south, and then because you need distance to
Sure,
climb.
sure.
Okay, that's how you gain your height.
Right.
Is by distance.
Right.
Right.
So that's why everyone have to turn to the south, even though that destination, let's say in China or go to
I
Europe,
see.
which you actually need to travel to the north. So all the aircraft need to go to the south and then climb to that altitude before they enter into China. So in that height, then you got no problem, for the approach and the departure in Shenzhen. Now, how are we going to solve it?
Right.
That's the other issue.
Right.
We've been talking about this, since the 90s.
Right.
Even before the CLK being built.
Right.
Okay. The assumption was that will be solved,
Right.
and aircraft can turn north immediately. Okay. How are they going to do it?
Right.
They've been talking about for the past, since 90s, basically. Before Chat-Lab being built.
Right.
I actually saw this very interesting diagram from the internet. They actually distinguish different zone for the airspace. Is it possible to distinguish it in the way that actually all the flight can get through from Hong Kong, then they can get into that zone, and then from Shenzhen they get into that zone? Is it possible to
Like multi-level zones?
multi-levels of that? Is it possible to just
It's very difficult to do that. I can understand where you come from, because you think it's a 3D thing, right?
Right.
yeah
So it's a 3D thing. So you can go, whatever level.
But practically, you're a pilot,
But
so you
practically,
know,
you can. It's very difficult to say, above whatever altitude, then the China authority, have the control of that. And also that is also the problem for the Article 130 from the Basic Law.
Right.
Okay. That I believe we will move on to that later in the discussion.
Yes.
So now is the issue of how to control it.
Right.
Okay. I put it in simple terms. I'm not too sure if the audience are they actually watching or listening. Maybe it's easy if they are actually watching.
They're watching.
They're watching.
This is
they're
good.
watching.
Yes.
So the thing is, imagine in this room.
Yeah.
Okay. We control the aircraft in this room.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Hong Kong airspace.
Okay.
Okay. So the next room is China.
Okay.
So if I open the door,
Yeah.
that is China.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's put it like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now the problem is, airport. Let's say it's someone working station.
Okay.
Okay. If someone's sitting right after the door,
Yeah.
so what will happen if I open the door? If I just run into it?
Right.
Right.
So you will bump into them, right?
Right.
So now the thing is, in the other room,
Yeah.
they can use the radar. They can see our movement.
Right.
Okay. Same the other side. I mean,
Right,
like we
right.
can see their movement,
Sure.
but we cannot control them.
Oh,
Okay.
you cannot
I
call
cannot
into
say-
their airspace and say, you move into this altitude
No,
or
you
move
can't.
down
You
to this
can't.
altitude.
And the only thing you can do is say before you come over, you need to reach whatever altitude.
Sure.
So you
Right.
go to the second floor.
Okay.
So, or let's say you go to the second floor. So when I, got a stair,
Yeah.
go to the second floor,
Yeah.
even though I walk over there,
Right.
so I won't bump into the person, sitting right behind the door.
Right.
Right.
Okay, now the person sitting behind the door is Shenzhen Airport.
Right.
Okay, that is exactly what happened. So even though we can actually see
Yeah.
what their aircraft is doing,
Right.
but we cannot control them. Okay, now go back to the question that you asked. Can they say, okay, I now can control the aircraft in this room?
Right.
Okay, in theory, that would be perfect.
Right.
Okay, because they can organize. Okay, well, you do not enter this, you did not open this door at whatever time.
Right.
Okay, so I can let all the aircraft, departing. Okay, you don't have any problem on
Right.
any conflict.
Right.
But at the moment, you cannot do this. Okay, that is also other problem because of Article 130.
Right.
Right.
Okay, Article 130 from Basic Law actually very specifically say, I cannot remember the full content, but if you can...
Bring it up.
You
Yeah,
can bring
yeah,
it up,
yeah.
you're pretty fast.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically it say, this room, what we call is a FIR.
Here we go. The HKIA shall be responsible on its own for matters of routine business and technical management of civil aviation, including the management of airports, the provision of air traffic services within the flight information region of the Hong Kong SAR, and the discharge of other responsibilities allocated in under the regional air navigation procedures of the International Civil Aviation Organization.
Okay. Not the second part, but the first bit is the important part. So what I just said, the FIR.
We're responsible for our own airspace.
Airspace, basically, the FIR. Oh, put it this way. FIR doesn't mean the country boundary.
Right.
It doesn't mean that.
Okay.
It could be including some other country as well. It depends how you draw the line. Okay, the boundary. So,
right.
But anyway, the bottom line is and they actually specifically say by your own. By your own. You cannot let your airspace say, okay, I sublease. Say I subcontract out.
Right.
Okay. I give you the service. You do the service for me.
That would need an amendment to the basic law.
You have to.
Okay.
So that's how I look at it. Of
Right.
course, they can have other interpretation.
Right. They can just
send it to the
yeah, of
see what
course, of
happens.
course. It could happen. Yeah.
We're limited on time, so
Sure.
we're going to jump on the other things. Now, here's one suggestion: is that if we don't have this, not suggestion, but a statement that if we don't have this third runway, we lose our competitiveness. Is that true? Economically.
I have to agree with that, to be honest.
Okay.
Again, it's not third runway. If we do not increase our capacity,
Okay. That makes
then
sense.
we will. Okay, it's no matter how we increase the capacity.
Okay.
So may not be necessary building a third runway.
We increase because Hong Kong is a civil aviation hub, especially for air cargo.
Yep.
There's no denying that. The thing is that why didn't they think about this before they built Chek Lap Kok? Why didn't they solve this problem before?
Wouldn't it because we couldn't control these airport building so close by Hong Kong as well too? Because
you think about it, when they start building it, it is actually before the handover.
Yes,
right.
In the 80s, yeah.
So 90s.
Well,
early
yeah,
90s.
but
Early 90s.
the plans were finalized, I think, in 89 or something like that.
No, probably later than that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. It's about 94 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember exact time, but
Right.
around that time. So it's actually before the handover time. So maybe back to that time, I mean, the British Hong Kong government may think, once it's handover, you guys
They'll
can sort
figure it out.
You're beat by one country,
Okay.
two system. You guys can sort it out. Maybe that's what they think, which is a fair comment as well. However, it just doesn't happen, right? It just doesn't happen, and I'm not talking about for 2 or 3 years. You talk about over 15 years.
So no third runway, let's say. How do we increase capacity then?
Well, the other way to increase it is about to sort out the airspace issue. Okay. How you not is still within the boundary of the basic law, Article 130. And you still manage it. How you do it? Well, at the moment, the Hong Kong government say it will sort it out, by 2020.
Right.
Okay, my question is, if you can sort it out in 2020, why don't you sort it out today?
Right. Why are you waiting so long?
And you talk about the agreement was signed in 2007.
Yes.
Okay.
2007.
Which is how many years ago?
8.
8 years.
Yeah.
Okay, 8 years ago, and you sign an agreement. It
Still
doesn't
have
realize
no-
today.
Right.
And you refuse to release the agreement.
I think that there are some other airports internationally, like London or Singapore. They also probably have the same problems that they may have to build a new runway or terminals. Can we draw some experience from them to solve the problems in Hong Kong?
Because personally, I'll give you one. Toronto International, Pearson.
Yeah.
That has so many runways, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But why are we complaining about a third runway when they have like 9 or whatever it is?
Well,
they
first
have?
of all, where they built on? I mean, like,
It's
the
in
ocean? I mean, like...
well, no, actually, it's
they're
in
not, right?
dead center in the city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is, you actually got a land to build on.
Right.
But now we actually,
We're recommending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what about Heathrow then? People keep, from the internet, people keep comparing Hong Kong's with Heathrow because they're saying that Heathrow, they didn't build a third
No,
runway.
you cannot compare Hong Kong to Heathrow.
Okay.
It's not a fair comparison because... First of all, Heathrow also got their restrictions.
Okay.
Well, Hong Kong got other restrictions about the terrain.
Okay.
Because of the mountain on the hills and all that, and also airspace issue. Heathrow, on the other terms, they can actually using 2 runway to turn left and turn right.
Oh, right.
Okay,
They
right.
can, but they don't do it. The reason is for the noise abatement. for
Right,
noise
right. The
reason.
noise
Because at the
ordinances,
moment
right.
it's sort of like alternate.
Okay.
So the left runway, take off for let's say I don't know the figures, but let's say 3 hours, and then now it's the right runway to do just the takeoff.
Okay.
For next 3 hours.
Sure.
If you do the mixed mode for both two runways, take off and landing,
Right.
that means those area. They're 24 hours. It's going to be
Constant noise.
Constant
Right,
noise.
right.
That's why they don't do it. They
Okay,
can,
I
but
see.
they don't do it.
Okay. Now, here's one thing I heard is that the mountain
Yeah.
on one side
Yeah.
causes a wind shear
Yep.
that is dangerous for certain conditions
Yep.
to land in. Does that mountain pose that problem? Number one. Number two, can a solution be to shave that mountain down?
Well, you need to shave your loads
Okay.
a lot,
Okay.
in order to solve this problem. But in the wind shear condition in Hong Kong, it's not rare. I mean, it happens quite often.
Sure.
But I won't say it's very dangerous.
Okay.
Okay. If you got a wind shear, what you need to do is just go around. You don't be supposed. You abort the landing. Basically,
Right.
you go somewhere else, or
Right.
you just wait,
Right.
and then you come to landing again. How often it happen? I don't know. Maybe each year, maybe you got I think probably less than 10 days.
Okay. So
With
if it's
that
less
kind
than
of
10 days,
condition.
that's not really affecting the landing and takeoff
exactly.
that much. Okay.
It's not going to happen every day.
Okay.
Okay.
All
It
right.
depends on the wind's directions and the string and
Sure,
all that.
sure.
So and also all our aircraft, we actually got all this the system
Right.
to detect the wind shear. So I would not say it's dangerous. I mean, of course, if you say wind shear, but you're forced to land,
Yeah.
different issue.
Now, did you meet the Transport Secretary this week, Anthony Cheung?
Yeah.
And what was discussed, or what information did you receive from them that you can tell us here about this situation?
It's pretty much, I pretty much have said it already, about Article 130.
Right.
We said, doesn't matter what you do, when you decide your procedures or how you do the handover for the air traffic controller, you must look at Article 130.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number one. I don't know. I don't care how you decide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, that's number one. And secondly, it's about the airspace restrictions. Okay, you must sort that out.
Right.
Right.
And if you already got a solution now, why don't you do it today?
Right.
I mean, every day.
What was his response to that?
Yeah.
Well, we say, it's a lengthy process. It's not just us.
Why is it so
blah, 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 blah.
lengthy?
But didn't they
Exactly.
mention that it's a state secret or something that military?
Oh yeah, the
secret?
state secret of the airspace.
Yeah, what he actually did not mention that in the meeting, but obviously he
mentioned in the media.
He made it
Yeah.
to the media. Because in China it's different than all the other civil countries.
Sure.
All the airspace is controlled by military. Basically,
Yes.
they just release some part, maybe around 20%,
Right.
for the civil aviation.
That's why Shanghai keeps having delays every
Yep.
few months because
Right,
the
right,
military
right,
needs
right.
the
Military.
airspace.
I
yeah.
just got the notice today. from-
yesterday,
Of
actually.
course,
Yeah.
almost weekly basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, about that assumption of after building the third runway, they say it's going to be 102 aircraft movement per hour, right?
Right.
Right.
But that is based on one very important assumption, which is aircraft can fly to the north after depart,
Okay.
or can come straight from the north.
Well, you said 2020 is when they said it'll be solved, this issue, but the runway won't come online till 2023.
23. Yep.
So doesn't that really work then when the timetable, if the runway is completed 3 years after? Or
I can't tell you. I don't know.
so the lack of information is a big problem right
Exactly. And also, we asked them to do a worst case scenario. What if when the third runway, when after you complete, and you still cannot fly to the north? I mean, after departing, right?
now. And you asked this to the
Yeah, of
transport
course.
secretary.
I mean, you need to get a figure. How low can you reduce to? I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, it could be 90 something or 80 something. Well, then you can see how important it is.
What was his response for the worst case scenario?
Well, they say they were going to do some study on it.
Well, that's like CY Leung asking,
Yeah.
what if the polls go the other way? Well, that's a hypothetical. We
he
don't plan
does
for
say
hypothetical.
because he said it's actually a good point. I mean, it's the worst case scenario.
But you have to have a contingency plan, don't you?
Exactly. What
Right?
is it based on? And also, you think about it also for the what do you call the environmental impact assessment as well.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, the EIA is assuming some of the aircraft will go to the north.
Yes.
After depart, right?
Yes.
Imagine if the airspace issue cannot be solved by that time, then that means more aircraft will go to the south, right?
Right.
But your current environmental impact assessment have not wasn't built on this case.
Okay.
So that is actually two issues. One is about your efficiency, all right? Secondly is about environmental.
Okay. Well, because the Chinese white dolphin is a big sticking point for environmental groups that'll disrupt their habitat, and they may not even come to Hong Kong waters after it's built or while it's being built. That's definitely been...
No, but that is building the third runway. I'm talking about the operation.
Oh, I'm talking about building the third runway.
Of course.
When you're talking about environmental, that is an environmental concern, is the ecology that it'll affect. Now, what do you think about the second terminal? They're saying that they need to close it, pretty much tear most of it down and rebuild it. It's underused as it is.
Yep.
It's got the budget airlines mostly stuck over there, or not so popular routes. There's no arrival hall. Was it a poor design from the beginning?
I think so.
Okay, so that they're kind of correcting their own mistake, aren't they?
Well, it's two sides. I mean, on the one hand, they said, when they first designed CLK, there was a plan, to build a third runway.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So, then why you build a Terminal 2 like this?
Yeah.
And now they say, no, we just realized we need a third runway. Then we need to make some
expand the second.
On,
because
Terminal 2.
I just came back from a flight a couple of months ago. Landing where it would be Terminal 2 took me forever to get to the other side, just to get to the arrival hall. It took me forever just to get to the aircraft going. So I can't stand Terminal 2 personally. I have friends who flew out of Terminal 2 and said it took us forever to get to our flight, because it's literally, you're going through Terminal 2, but you might end up back in Terminal 1. That's where your gate is.
Well, you have to. So at the moment you have to. You check it.
It's more like a shopping mall than it is a terminal.
It is. That's what everybody's saying. I mean, it is a shopping mall.
Oh my goodness! But I won't lie. I actually like the new design of the second terminal. It looks nice.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I'm going to say.
But for a normal citizen like me, I'm not very familiar with this airspace or stuff. But do you think that these projects are really worth the money that we are spending?
141 billion
people
now, and it'll go up.
Yeah, people are comparing the old one. It's not that expensive. We have 2 runways and we have the railway, so we have everything that can connect us to the airport. But now we only have 1 third runway, and then people are also saying that it's only for takeoff. And then
for landing.
For landing. That it seems that to me, as a normal citizen, it doesn't really worth it.
I have to make the point straight here.
Okay.
First of all, that runway, a lot of people say it's only for landing. It's not. Okay, it can do the takeoff as well, but it's just
but to the south, no. The takeoff can only go to the south if they don't solve the airspace issue.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's how they do the management of the operation wise. How they do which runway do the takeoff, which one do the landing, and just to be happen that runway will be used just for landing.
Okay.
It's not to say that runway cannot take off. That is wrong. It can take off.
Okay.
It can do the takeoff over there.
Right.
Okay. Now, secondly, you talked about the cost.
Right.
Okay, but now you're comparing, something 20 years ago.
Right.
And also you think about it, just a runway. It's not. I mean, it's a single runway, 1 extra runway, and also you got a new terminal, and you also got all the logistics, all the other stuff. It's pretty much building a new airport if you're considering that.
But they're tearing down the terminal too.
Yeah. Part of the project, of course.
Part of it. It's a whole new terminal, pretty much.
So for the cost-wise, and also that's why it's important to know what if you cannot solve the airspace issue, how further, to reduce.
Sure.
How much reduce? I mean, for the, from 102 to what?
Right.
Because at the moment, 2 runways doing 68.
Right.
Okay, let's say, I just put out figures. Let's say, if you cannot solve the airspace problem, then maybe it's go to, let's say, 85 or something like that. Well, then you start thinking about it. Well, is this actually less than 20 aircraft per hour? Is it worth to doing it with that cost?
But why do we have to build it in Chelap Kor? Why can't we just
another airport?
Other location? Yeah, of course.
Well, where?
Somewhere like in Sai Kung or somewhere. Find somewhere else, and then just like in
do you
London.
think I think more practical would be another new artificial island. like they do in Japan.
Yeah.
Where they
something
build
like that.
airports pretty much from scratch and then it starts sinking. But
but I don't think
yeah.
I don't think that will goes very popular with the green groups.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's
that
another
would-
issue as well. I mean,
you'd
like,
have to reclaim land, right? A lot of land, and then
yeah.
build the infrastructure to get there.
absolutely.
To build a second airport. Well, maybe we should have never gotten rid of Kai Tak then.
well, now you cannot go back.
No, you can't go back.
You
True.
can't.
Would that have been a good idea though if we kept Kai Tak maybe just for regional flights, like just for China and Southeast Asia, while we kept Czech Labkov for the bigger, more international aircraft?
Yeah, you can do that, but the problem again is the height restriction of all the buildings surrounding
Right,
the area.
right.
So you will have less usable living area.
Right.
So
will be still that
it
problem
will-
and the noise.
Yeah, and the noise, of
And
course.
the
So
noise.
But
But that landing was sure fun.
yeah, that's an old time. Though.
Yeah, the old times. Because personally, I am supportive of the third runway.
Yeah.
If the airspace issue can be solved,
Fair enough.
because I do think that Hong Kong's capacity is right now decreasing, and aviation cargo and travel is increasing, and
Yeah.
we do need to stay competitive compared to the rest of the airports in the Pearl River Delta.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of impressed that it'll be self-funded and not going through the public purse. Of course, passengers will be charged for that. Is that a huge concern though, that they've bypassed LegCo to make this?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I cannot agree with that arrangement
Okay.
completely. That is outrageous.
But then we're not using tax dollars to. But then we're not
We
being
are.
paid by the
We are.
dividends anymore.
Yeah, we got the dividends.
So we are going to lose that
Yes.
money. That's
Yeah.
public purse money actually going the other way.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's just which side
That's
of
answered my own
the
question.
balance book you put it there.
Right, right.
It's still our money.
it's still our money. All right. Well, that's wonderful and very insightful. Lots of interesting stuff about the problems that aircraft are having with the current setup by not being able to go to the north, circling up and all that. Thank you very much for coming in, Jeremy Tam. You can find Jeremy Tam through his Facebook. Just search Jeremy Tam, and his the bigger pictures of an airplane taking off. You can't miss him. He is a pilot, and his photo is right there. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And in this final segment, Key and
Right.
I always have our weekly Shame on You award. And this is, we give it to the person that most deserves for their comments or their actions of the week.
For
And
this week, we have Miss What?
what's her name? I don't know.
Miss What?
Miss What? That's her name?
That's her
Miss-
name.
No, what's her
Miss
full name?
What Wang Yin,
Okay.
a columnist.
Okay. And what does she do?
And she wrote an article about this mentally challenged
The autistic man.
the autistic man,
Yeah.
and who was charged by the police, who accusing him for a
And he
murder
supposedly
case.
confessed.
And then and then she, in her article, she wrote that actually the police did a very good job because they have watched the video for 800 hours, and we should support them. And because and then if we don't support the police would do nothing at all, and then there would be a lot of crimes, blah 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 blah. And
So the police can do no wrong. That's basically what she's saying.
Yeah. And
Even
then-
when they are wrong, they are not wrong.
exactly. So this week we will give the
Shame on You award to.
Shame on you.
What's her name?
Miss What Wang Yin.
Yeah. And you deserve that, because I think that's an absolutely ridiculous statement. The police are not angels. They are humans, like you guys always like to say. So they do make mistakes, and they need to fess up when they make those mistakes.
And they have to follow the rules and policy as well.
Yes, you don't just make them and not follow them and expect the citizens to follow them. You are not nobility. You are not God. You must follow as public servants. Anyways, that's the end of our show. Please like our Facebook page. Go to ION Hong Kong, or Twitter at IONHK Pod, or you can still find us on YouTube. Well, of course you can find us on YouTube. That's where we are. Mimi Hong Kong, and iTunes for our audio podcast. You can find us there if you prefer to listen to us that way. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.